It's Sunday morning, and every decent man and woman is listening to Test Miles with Nick Miles on FM News 101 KXL. Buckle in.
Welcome to Mother's Day. Good morning, good Sunday morning from the Test Miles crew. I am Nick Miles, and we'd like to start off with an apology to all mothers officially. The next hour of the show, your car-loving children will be listening to Test Miles, at Test Miles on Twitter. And today's show is also being recorded for television as well as radio. And the show is full of TV people, TV cameras right here in the studio at FM News 101. Thanks to Eric from Hybrid Moon for taking care of the video for that and all of your video needs. Thank you very much, Eric. Your one-stop shopping there. Now, my favorite people joining us in the studio on this Sunday morning, Brad Boyer. He is the unofficial mother of the show. Good morning, Brad.
Good morning. Yes, I do take care of all you guys, don't I?
Absolutely.
I do have to, obviously, to my mom, Marge, who listens every week, so we have to thank her. And then my wife, Eve, who I would only probably be married to if it wasn't for you, Nick, because she was a big fan of your other incarnation years ago, and that's how I got her to go to dinner with me. And she had to sit by you.
Yeah, I remember you said, you can sit by Nick. Yeah. And she was like, I'll go.
That was the deal closer.
That's awesome. Andrew Awesome is here. He's my friend for the last 10 years and the producer of the radio show, and the show wouldn't happen if it wasn't without him. Andrew, you forgot it was TV day today, didn't you?
Yes, hello, Portland. I forgot it was TV day, and normally when I come to the show, you know, I got the good face for radio. I'm not really dressed for it. I usually come in my comfy cozies. You know, I plan on taking a nap directly after my last word. So I forgot that we were going to be televised today, so I apologize for my hobo-esque attire today.
You know what was so funny, guys? We got in the car this morning, and he's wearing shorts and a hoodie, and I go, hey, did you forget it was TV day? And he just pulled his hood right over his face.
Yeah, I went into turtle mode. I forgot.
It was awesome. Sean Walker is here, my TV producer and a car freak, and also the world wouldn't happen and it would shine. It wouldn't shine without Sean. And good morning, Sean.
Good morning, Portland.
You're at school, aren't you?
Yeah, sadly.
How's that going?
It's long days, long nights. I don't even sleep anymore, but it's going.
And you're still producing the Fox Morning News show segments for us, right?
I am. I'm trying to make the world a better place and let them see the beauty of us. You, anyways.
Thank you, guys, for being here this morning, and thanks, everyone, for listening to Test Miles and FM News 101. We have a really packed show this week. Last week, we were at Mudfest, which is the Northwest Automotive Press Association's Outdoor Activity Vehicle of the Year event. And it was actually a great event. The overall winner, the best vehicle out of all the categories, was the Jeep Cherokee Trailhawk 4x4. And Sean, you got to drive the vehicle, as did I. How did you feel about it?
I liked it. I mean, it was a great handling car. I had a little lag for me that I wasn't impressed with, and it wasn't my pick, but it was still a great car.
I think it well deserves being the winner, though. It's definitely a triumph for Jeep, and I know they're very proud. They put a press release out this week saying that they were named as the Northwest Outdoor Activity Vehicle of the Year.
And that term supersedes SUV, which we used to call the SUV of the year event.
Yeah, I think last year it was changed. It might have been the year before. I can't remember clearly, but the reason it was changed to Outdoor Activity Vehicle of the Year is because SUVs have changed so much. Vehicles have changed so much, and they're no longer these big, large, full-size vehicles. They're much smaller and nimbler, and so Outdoor Activity Vehicle of the Year seems to suit the award much better.
And some of those included the crossover vehicles, things like that.
Right. It includes those vehicles that were built on a car chassis rather than a truck chassis, which originally sort of SUVs were enclosed trucks, and then CUVs came along, which were sort of elevated cars, bigger cars, as it were, on the same sort of chassis. But they're all sort of off-road activity vehicles.
What was your all-time favorite, though, on that?
I
mean, obviously the Range Rover,
one.
because
yeah, but you know the
great.
I understand the Range Rover doesn't, and driving that off-road, it was clearly the off-road winner. But I understand the Range Rover doesn't really. It's not in everybody's price range.
Yeah, but that Rover, it impressed me because we went up on this one angle, and I swear to God, I thought we were going to flip over. We were literally like a 45-degree angle, and I'm in the back seat holding on to everything to make sure I didn't hit the window.
It's interesting. You're almost sitting on the door when you do that.
It's freaky.
It's very freaky, and the angle isn't. I think it's not even 45 degrees. I think it feels a lot steeper than it really is in real life. But you get 12, 13, 14 degrees, and it feels like you're going to fall over. And the other thing that's interesting about that, one thing that most people don't understand, is the sound system inside that vehicle is provided by Meridian. And Meridian put in $70,000 sound systems in your home. So the new way that we came up with marketing the vehicle is you just bought a $70,000 sound system, and Range Rover are throwing in the vehicle for free.
Perfect. Was there a vehicle that surprised you that you maybe hadn't driven? And
the one that really surprised me was the Acura MDX. Really, really surprised me, and because that, and I took all of the when you take all of the safety systems off and drive it, and you put the safety systems back on, which I didn't take them off there, but when you do that on a track, on a road system, it handles better with the safety systems on. The vehicle actually, a lot of times you have to take the safety systems off on some of these vehicles off-road because they handle better, not the Acura. And their super handling all-wheel drive was, to me, outstanding.
Yeah, that car it was a dream handling off-road, and there was no problems with it.
It did really well. So we also had another news story that was up on TestMiles.com, which Andrew wrote this week. And,
is it up already?
I think, or it's coming up on TestMiles.com. There are certain places in Europe now that are charging parking fees for different size and different types of vehicle. So when you park, you pay depending on what you parked. And this is an interesting concept because it's promoting a cleaner and smaller car.
So when I drive my limo somewhere, it's going to cost me an arm and a leg to park?
Yes, under this new system it would. Madrid has introduced it. Andy, tell us a little bit about it.
Well, yeah, the Spanish city of Madrid is kind of, they may not be the first, but they're being the most aggressive at this point. They're basically, it's only consolidated into the big city, and they're charging they're installing smart meters, and the smart meters are determining whether or not how much to charge your car. And they're going all the way up to about $4.50 US for if it's a diesel, which is about a 20% increase. And on the other end of the spectrum, if you have a smart car like a Prius or something, then it's 20% cheaper. So there could even be free parking, no charge of anything. So it's a pretty aggressive attempt, in my opinion, to get what they're trying to do is get rid of the diesel stuff.
I actually think so there's something that should be pointed out very clearly at this point. Is that European diesel is very different from American diesel. There is different parts of sulfur in the European diesel is their American. So their diesel is not as clean as our diesel in the United States. That's the first thing that should be pointed out. So diesel is not necessarily something you would seek in the in Europe, whereas in the United States it's actually clean, and there's zero emissions from some, or close to zero emissions from some diesel vehicles here. In Europe, they're saying that they want to reduce the number of diesel vehicles because they pollute so much. So how does the meter determine what car you have? Do you have to tell it? Can you lie?
It didn't. I couldn't find anything that elaborated. I think maybe they just have a different system. Maybe the smart meter has
it understands what your car is. It
right,
reads the car.
It must be something within the smart meter because they really pressed that issue, the smart meter specifically.
It sounds like a typical government sort of thing. We're going to implement this program and we'll worry about the details later.
I'm very interested. Do you think this could work in Portland? 503-517-6299 if you're interested in talking about that. Would you like to see smart parking meters on the street in Portland, or is this just another way of government taxing us? For me, the idea is if you invest in a smaller car and cleaner technology, in a sense, you should be rewarded.
Well, what's the impact of driving away diesels? I mean, is that something that's plausible, or does the
I don't think it would work the same way here as it works in Europe because diesels are much cleaner in the United States.
We need to encourage the diesel use.
Yeah,
are we going to not have the need for it over in Europe? I mean, do they just not want them around? Is that going to impact businesses?
Diesels are dirty. They tend to be dirtier in Europe. Things like the Blue Tech from Mercedes and the TDI from VW here. BMW's diesels, Chevy Cruze diesel are burning cleaner than they would burn if they're the European model. All right, lots of interesting stuff to talk about on the show today. We're also going to look at what we've been driving and taking out of the garage. Andy will tell us a little bit about what we have decided to drive, and then we'll tell him what we thought of the cars. We'll also be looking at Project Discovery, which is our idea to get ready to do a SEMA car. We're going to have Peter Clover in from Mobile West, and he's going to tell us a little bit about some of his ideas, what we could do to our Land Rover Discovery and how we could revamp it. You're listening to Test Miles on FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles. More in a moment.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101. Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
I think they're talking about me when they talk about that right turn, by the way. I'm the odd one out. I'm Nick Miles. It's Test Miles. It's Sunday morning. Good morning. Happy Mother's Day. Thanks for being here. We're very glad that you could join us on this morning's radio show. We've been test driving cars all week, and we have some reports. Andy, are you going to tell us what we took out of the garage? You have your list, don't you?
I'm getting my little handy-dandy check-in, check-out sheet. You guys are lucky enough. Nick, I gave you the Hyundai Elantra. I gave Sean this week the Acura MDX, and I gave Brad the Nissan Leaf.
Yeah, you did. Let me talk about the Hyundai Elantra a little bit, too. I am more surprised in this car every time I get in it. It's not the first time I've been in. I was in the coupe, the two-door version, and Hyundai have done it, and I say Hyundai because that's how I pronounced it when I was in England, but it's actually Hyundai. They want it pronounced with, like, Hyundai Sunday. This is an amazing little car, and every time I get in it, I realize what a good job they've done with it. It's nimble, it's responsive, the vehicle is well priced, it's fun to drive, it's quite sporty, and one of the things I like about it is they put things like 17-inch wheels on it, whereas a lot of the competition has 15, 16-inch wheels on it, so they don't look quite as good. It has great fuel economy. It's a lot of different iterations of the car. So when you look at this vehicle, you can get a GT, which is kind of the sporty version. You can get a four-door. You can get a two-door. And I noticed that the more versions of a car that are available, the tends to be the more popular the car is because people find something that hits the nail on the head for them. So for me, for instance, when we talk about BMW, I'm not a big fan of the BMW 3 Series, but I love the GT, the bigger version with the coupe back end. I like there's nothing wrong with the 3 Series or the 4 Series now, which it is going to, but I actually like the GT version a lot better because it has that more coupe-like style, coupe-like drive. So I'm a big fan of coupes, as you would say. Coupes is how they like to call it in England.
Is it different than a coupe?
No, there's no different, except in America we don't pronounce the E. In England, we pronounce it as coupe.
England doesn't know how to speak.
Listen to
the Queen Mum heard that.
I know she did. Sean's going to get shanked on his way out by a couple of guys in Union Jack socks. Sean, tell us a little bit about the Acura MDX.
Oh, this car is awesome. I drove it up to Seattle, and I left here really late, so I just turned on all the safety features, like the lane departure, which isn't like other manufacturers where it just beeps if you cruise over. It actually shifts you into the center of the lane.
How do you feel about that? Because I know with the Mercedes system that if you get towards the line on a lane on a freeway, it actually pulls the steering. You can physically feel it pull the steering wheel.
It doesn't pull the steering wheel. It just kind of adjusts the car a little bit. I mean, you feel a little nudge, but it's nothing that you can't over-adapt or fix.
So you can override it if you want to.
I mean, but it was like I was leaving late at night, so I was already tired, and I turned that on, and the not the lane departure, but the adaptive cruise control, and it was great. I just didn't have to actually deal with the car, and I wasn't fatigued after driving 4 hours.
Right. I think that's the one thing, too. If you're already tired and you already have some issues with driving, you shouldn't be driving. But if you're tireder than you want to be when you get into a vehicle, these things can actually help you. And you're less exhausted when you get to your destination because the car does a lot of extras for you.
Yeah, I mean, that was the one thing. The interior in the car is awesome, too, because they have the two navigation screens or two screens so you can actually see different things like your radio, and then you can have your navigation up top, which it's nice. That way you don't have to keep flipping through and trying to find different
presets. Yeah, I never thought about changing the screens as you drive. Did you actually use the collision alert system?
Yeah. So
you nearly hit something.
No, I didn't nearly hit anything. I just tried it. The one thing, and this is going to sound really dumb, but the one thing I loved about this car is the center console. It has these little rubber strips so you can actually put your cell phone on it, and it doesn't slide all over the place. It just hold your cell phone.
I actually have to tell you that I had the BMW 2 Series as well recently, and we'll talk about that in an upcoming show, but it has a holder. In the cup holder, it has a piece that goes in to put your cell phone in. I thought that was great.
Well, car manufacturers need to start figuring out what to do with your cell phones other than a cup holder.
Right. You're absolutely right. Brad, you went very Portland. You did the Nissan Leaf.
I went very, very Portland. Well, my American Express bill had been creeping up substantially with all the increased gas prices.
So you choose your
I said,
car and your
Andy, give me
financial
something that doesn't cost me any money this week, please.
You choose your car on your financial situation.
That's right.
I love that.
So I had the Nissan Leaf, the 2014 Leaf, which is an all-electric vehicle. And the price on this vehicle ranges somewhere between $28,000 and $32,000, but there's some substantial tax credits for these cars. There's still the $7,500 federal tax break, $750, state of Oregon. So it comes down to a manageable low 20s. However, this car is certainly designed for those people who have a particular lifestyle. You can't be like me where you have multiple stops and you're running around. You have to plan your day out. So maybe it's for somebody a little more organized than I am. But what surprised me about the vehicle is I was used to seeing the electric cars or the small little, crummy little, just get me around town. The Leaf is quite comfortable and roomy. I had a couple of car seats in the back seat for the kids. We cruised around pretty well with that.
The technology is great
back.
in that too, right?
Yeah, and it comes really the base model. So there's 3 different trim levels. I would definitely get the next 2 levels because it's a faster charging. It's only 4 hours on the 240.
So the top 2 levels.
The top 2 levels. But the base model comes with keyless entry, Bluetooth, the backup cameras. It comes fairly well loaded up. And
I was just surprised when I got into the Leaf how different it looks on the inside, how techy it looks. That sort of blue interior lighting, the very cool sort of blue screen with all of the it almost looks like Tron. I felt like when I was inside, it looked like Tron. I should be wearing a helmet and throwing some kind of disc around.
Yeah, the one thing that I fought was the range on the vehicle because it's supposed to have about an 80-mile range. And I think that's perfect conditions if you're driving slowly or in town. When I'd get onto the freeway, it just plummeted.
Yeah.
And I was much closer to 60. And I went from, and so as you're driving the vehicle, you're constantly looking at your range. And I left the house thinking I have 18 miles. I'll get to downtown and I'll go to Electric Avenue by Portland State and I'll charge it up down there for free. And I went from 18 to 12 to 0. And I had to stop at the Expo Center to charge up down there. So you quickly learn to use the menu and find out where your charging stations are.
I think that's great. I still have anxiety with electric cars.
Absolutely. You couldn't go to a Duck game. You couldn't go to the Seahawk game without having to stop at a rest area and spend 20 minutes charging your vehicle up.
And I'm starting to be a bigger fan. For instance, Hyundai are introducing their fuel cell Tucson in California now, where you can use hydrogen. It'll actually drive on electric and go for around 300 miles. I'm starting to be much more of a fan of that, and a fan of the way you take the range anxiety out, because I love the electric cars, but I suffer from anxiety horribly.
It was really arduous, and I think that's the right word. Trying to take the kids, and we had to stop at a place that wasn't great to charge it up. They're in rest areas, things like that. So.
When Test Miles comes back, we're going to be talking to Peter Clover from Mobile West about our Project Discovery. We're going to revamp a 2002 Land Rover Discovery. That and more when Test Miles returns.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com. Favorite us, tweet us, friend us, love us, all at TestMiles.com.
It's a Sunday morning. It's Mother's Day. Thank you, mothers everywhere, for allowing us to come into the studio. I'm cooking my mother Sunday dinner when we're done.
What'd she do wrong to you?
No, why do you say it? You love my cooking.
I know. You're quite talented.
That's it. You're in trouble now. I'm restricting the number of hugs we can have a day. Sean, what are you doing for your mom?
I'm actually taking my mom out next week because she hates crowds, so it's a late Mother's Day gift for her.
A late agoraphobic Mother's Day gift.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brad, what are you doing for your mother?
I'm actually heading over to my dad's and taking care of him so that my mom and sister and nieces can go to the beach.
That's great. I'm going to take care of my dad for Mother's Day so she doesn't have to bother. That's the gift. That's the best gift. The gift of giving. Get rid of everything that your mother has to worry about.
We're going to go watch golf and have a good time.
Excellent. Joining us in the studio this morning on TestMiles and FM News 101, Peter Clover from Mobile West. Good morning.
Good morning, everybody, and happy Mother's Day.
Yes. What are you doing for your mother?
Well, my mother's out of town, so I did this for my wife. I woke up really early with my youngest boy, Zane, this morning, and fixed her breakfast in bed, some waffles and French press coffee, and made sure that she was all set up so she doesn't even need to get out of bed today.
That's awesome. I remember making breakfast for my parents one Mother's Day, and I toasted. I was 5. I toasted a whole loaf of bread.
You want to make sure they get
It was
fed.
a stack of a whole loaf of bread.
Yeah.
I took it upstairs, and my mum went, "What the hell? That's a whole loaf of bread." I think I just enjoyed using the toaster. You know, my 3-year-old sister was, "Do it again, Nick. Do it again."
Yeah, sure, yeah.
Oh, Mother's Day, what a fun time. Peter, we have our Project Discovery underway. We launched this a couple of weeks ago, and just to recap for those people that didn't hear it and want to know more about it, we want to do a SEMA car in 2015, and to practice for that, we're going to take our 2002 Land Rover Discovery and basically make it into a poor man's version of a SEMA car. A lot of the stuff will be the same quality. It's just that it's not a new vehicle. The good news is we actually talked to several manufacturers over the last week, and they're very excited about us doing the SEMA car, and they want to get involved. So it looks like if we pull off Project Discovery, which is our 2002 Land Rover Discovery, we may be on track to do a real SEMA car. If you don't know what a SEMA car is, basically there is an event in Las Vegas every year where people use the aftermarket industry to put together some amazing cars and show off all the things that can be done with the aftermarket parts, stereos, tires, wheels, interiors, exteriors, what you can do to an existing vehicle rather than buying one, and how you can soup it up. And this is your specialty, isn't it, Peter?
I'm completely on board. This is perfectly normal for me.
This is what you do every day.
This is what I do every day. In fact, I have a 93 Range Rover that is absolutely that way.
And so you've done some stuff to that. So let's take this 2002 Discovery. What are some of the suggestions of things that you think we could do to it from Mobile West? What are some of the fun things that you would do to it?
Well, fun and easy. Do the same sort of things that we're going to approach every car with. Make it quiet. Sound deaden the vehicle so it's quiet and comfortable going down the freeway. Make it so it's enjoyable to drive. Update the audio. Give you modern tech. So
sound deadening, what does that involve? What are you going to do to the car?
Well, okay, so most Range Rovers and Land Rovers are aluminum vehicles.
Right.
Right? So sound translates in and out of the car far more readily than a Mercedes sedan.
Right.
Right? I mean, they're great at 35 miles an hour, and they're awful at 70.
Right.
So we'll fix that. What we'll do is we'll actually take, when we're changing out the speakers and the doors, we'll have the door panels off, and we'll be able to sound deaden, use materials that quell vibration, that translate vibration into heat and dissipate the outside door skins, the inside door skins, turn the doors into non-resonant speaker cabinets. Go ahead, take the carpets and the seats out. Put barrier layers, so sound blocking materials. Block the engine and transmission, the drivetrain noises. Same thing all the way.
So we're driving around this, and it'll sound more like a Rolls Royce on the inside than it will, what the car sounded like before. Less road noise, less wind noise,
Absolutely.
and less rattles.
Absolutely, and it's an important thing. We do that to classic cars. We do that to brand new vehicles.
I know classic. I mean, the last time I drove a classic car, they look beautiful on the outside, but boy, they are noisy and tough to drive on the inside.
Sure, but my 1968 MGB GT is a lovely, quiet, enjoyable car that I commute in twice a week.
Oh, that.
Right?
I
You
used to
take
own
something-
one. The one I owned was a lot later version of that, but it actually would have been better if the floor hadn't rusted through and I couldn't see the road. However, beautiful
Flintstones.
vehicle. Yeah, Flintstones car.
Fine. It's fine, Nick.
Perfectly normal.
Totally fine.
So you put sound deadening in your MGB GT?
Oh, absolutely. And my MG Roadster, and the Range Rover, and the 2011 Smart Car that's our shop loaner car.
I noticed that you had that Mercedes in there. Was it an 90s Mercedes?
Yeah, 93.
93.
Yeah, we've got Project Thesis going on. And Project Thesis is, well, thesis in Italian is a special word. It means the best, the best, the best. I mean, the forefront of natural thought. That particular car, we're taking a $5,000, beautiful condition, used car. We're putting an audio system in it that is the best of the best of the best of handmade Italian crazy goodness.
Right.
I mean, something that gentlemen that would have a Ferrari or Lamborghini or Bentley or whatever would absolutely be flabbergasted.
I know when I was in your shop, you were showing me some of the amplifiers. You're putting 3 amps in the trunk, right? Where
Absolutely.
the spare tire in it. And the amps were $5,000 a piece. $15,000 just of the amplifier.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we're putting a 2014 Mercedes into the audio of a 93 Mercedes.
Oh, man, that sounds so awesome.
Oh, you don't even have any clue. People that are absolute purist audiophile, people with the best ears in the world, are going to have to experience this car to realize just how good it is.
We've said this before when we've had you on. I've been into your shop and I've listened to just audio off of an iPad. In fact, my iPad's a Generation 2. I'm thinking about buying a newer one just so when I stick, if we put an iPad inside, and we'll have to talk about, what we're going to stick inside the vehicle, and we'll do that in the next break. But when I do that, I need the audio quality to be the absolute best. And at the moment, I'm going through this conundrum of deciding whether to go Apple or to go Samsung, which is the difficult one.
That is a difficult one. If from an audio point, stick Apple.
Yeah, my difficulty is I have a Samsung, a Galaxy phone, so I'm divided. I have a split personality over which way I should go.
That's A-okay. I would say we'll use the Samsung phone over Bluetooth to do streaming music, and then music
iPad.
and videos from the Apple in the dash.
So sound deadening, and then we're also talking about doing some new stereo system in there. I'll tell you how it is right now. So I have a Kenwood standard size slot-in sound system. I took the CD changer out of the car, which was under the seat in the Land Rover 2002 Discovery.
Yep.
And we've taken that out, and then it has a satellite radio that we don't have a subscription for anymore, in the microphone and all that thing about. We're going to take all that out.
We're going to take all of that out,
and we're gonna update the audio system. Do you have ideas of what you're going to do with the audio system?
Oh, I already know exactly what I'm going to do with the audio system.
Excellent.
It's what I do.
Right.
Yeah. We will put in a new full digital audio system. We're not going to put analog. We're not going to put old school. We're going to go latest, high-end, home audio type tech. No 8-track.
I was hoping to get like reel-to-reel in there.
Andy wants a microwave and a coffee maker.
I was gonna talk to you, Peter, about. We can get into it next break, but I'm gonna start an official petition to get like a licorice dispenser in there.
Well, see, I'm all good with that. I am fine with the dream car, but let's not do it to this car.
Yeah, no, we should wait there. Maybe the SEMA car. All right, well, you're listening to TestMiles. We got a lot more coming up. We're talking about our Project Discovery. If you're interested in talking about some things that you'd like to see on the car, 503-517-6299 is the phone number, or 503-517-6193. If you want to get on the phone and talk to us about some things you'd like to do with this, we'll talk about the themes and what Peter's going to do to this car when we come back on TestMiles on FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles.
It's Test Miles on FM News 101. Test Miles, like NASCAR, but with one right turn. TestMiles.com.
Mother's Day at FM News 101. I'm Nick Miles, TestMiles Radio Show. This morning, Peter Clover in the studio with the rest of the team talking about Project Discovery, which is our 2002 Land Rover Discovery that we're going to give a complete revamp this year and end up with something that looks and sounds and drives so much more than it currently is. Peter, you have some product in mind for this car.
Oh, absolutely. In fact, I have product in mind that I've been waiting 2 years for, and it showed up at my shop on Tuesday.
Where is your shop, by the way?
I'm having an anxiety attack. It's so exciting.
Let's remind everybody where Mobile West is.
Mobile West Car Audio is at 140 Northeast Broadway.
All right.
In Portland.
So what is the product? Are you going to tell us, or are you going to keep it a surprise?
No, I'm going to tell you.
Excellent.
No, Audison, Italian manufacturer that makes art. If you think about it, the Ferraris of car audio have launched a completely new brand and new concept in car audio. Their Prima line, Prima. It is, well, think about a Ferrari performance, but that any man can pay for.
Oh, no, I like that.
Right.
Because I clearly can't afford $380,000, by the way.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, yes, the Audison thesis, is absolutely the best, mind-boggling.
This is
Prima,
the best for someone that's on a radio salary.
Absolutely. Absolutely. In fact, we just had a Porsche 911 in 08 that we did Friday. Replaced the Bose factory speakers with an Audison Prima 3-way setup. And let's just say this way. The customer had no idea what I meant when I meant it's going to be fantastic.
It is. I can't explain this enough times to anybody. You've got to go down to the shop and sit in front of these things and listen to them, because I did not realize that car audio could sound like that.
Absolutely.
And I feel so insignificant, and I feel like I'm kind of a loser because I didn't know. I've been listening to years to what can only be described as mediocre audio inside a car, and then you install an iPad which runs, you can run the KXL app, the FM News 101 app, you can run your recorded music, you can run any kind of music off of it and video, and it sounds like I'm in a personally designed movie theater, and especially with the stadium seating inside this Discovery too.
Oh yeah, it really is.
It's going to be like a theater.
Well, Nick, we did radio for, how long, and we've continued to do radio. So I thought, I'm not professional in audio, but I thought I knew a thing or two. But you made me really feel like a little kid again, because that audio is never heard anything like it.
We were doing radio when they had tubes. So this new Prima, is it called?
Yeah, the Prima is factory integration technology. Okay, so, and there are several different facets to it. But
Are you going to have to cut a big hole in the dash?
Nope.
It slots right in?
Beautiful. It no longer takes amplifiers the size of a surfboard in order to sound good. They're new digital amplifiers, an 8-channel digital amplifier that is 8 by 6 by 2.
Excellent.
Right? It will fit inside of the dashboard if you want to.
Wow.
Full digital audio. It has it's infinitely adjustable. Time correction. I can adjust the distances the speakers are from your ears. I can filter each speaker independently.
You're scaring me a little bit.
We can EQ each speaker to be perfect. And completely expandable. So we're going to take the iPad, and then we're going to put a full digital audio dock. This amplifier will accept an optical input, as well as being able to hook up to your factory deck or your aftermarket deck.
Wow.
I can assign channels to do anything I want to.
Can we put a Connect in there?
Perfectly normal.
I want to wave start the car. On. That'd be so cool.
A gesture recognition inside the 2002 Land Rover Discovery.
What happened if you sneeze and crash?
The engine cruise control turns off every time you sneeze.
Well, here's the thing. Imagination is your only limitation with everything in life.
Oh man, I want the Connect in there so bad, just so I can talk and move with my fingers and command the car. That'd be so cool.
We are rapidly running out of time, and I know we could talk about this forever and ever and ever. So we're talking about Salem. The garage that we're going to use to go over the car is in Salem, Car Salem. They're going to look at it this week, and then they're going to tell us what needs to be done with it. So we'll have them on in a couple of weeks' time. And then we'll go down to the shop with you, Peter, and we'll look at the vehicle. We'll dissect it, and we'll start getting ready to do this portion of the car, and then we'll get on to the other things of doing it. And maybe if anybody out there, if you have recommendations of things we can do, we want to make it a dog-friendly vehicle. So we want to put a dog cage in the back and a bunch of those other things. We are also looking to redo the interior, so we need to talk about that. There's so much more with Project Discovery. So you're sort of ready to go with us in about 2 or 3 weeks' time, Peter?
Oh, I'm perfectly ready to go now. One of my employees has the same vehicle. It's even in the same color scheme.
Wow.
Nice.
Right. You mentioned this, and I have it planned out. Interior, dog-friendly, upholstery, sound deadening.
We got it all
audio.
going on.
It's planned out.
We'll be back next week to talk more. This is FM News 101. You're listening to Test Miles. Check us out on Facebook and Twitter. We got so much more to talk about. We have news stories up there, the parking meters in Madrid. We have tons of stuff on our website, and we have all the videos from our morning news appearances and from our NBC Sports show. That and more. We'll be back next week. Happy Mother's Day, everybody. Thanks for listening to Test Miles.
Throw it in neutral and coast in with TestMiles.com.